Hi, welcome back to Furious Fiction. I'm Mark Mustian here with Diane Roberts.
Hi there.
How are you?
Oh gosh, I'm very well indeed.
Well, I'm always better when I've had the chance to read really exquisite writing.
Oh,
and the writer we have today is just wonderful. Diana
Terrific
Abu-Jaber.
stylist.
She's joining us she's a resident of Portland and Coral Gables. She's joining us from the Gables, I think, today.
Yeah.
So welcome. Thanks for being with us here on Furious Fiction.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
And I mentioned to Diana before we got on, I'd like to get her to read a little bit of her novel Birds of Paradise, which I think is it's a wonderful novel and just wonderful, wonderful writing and descriptions of South Florida. And so, Diana, if you wouldn't mind just reading the paragraph that we talked about, our viewers would appreciate it.
I'd be happy to. This paragraph is a scene in the book where the main character has been spying on her neighbor, and her cat accidentally reveals her hiding spot. And so this is what happens when her cat gets loose and seems to be attacking the neighbor's bird. The woman spots Lamb nearly at the same time and gets to her feet. Hist, bad, bad. She kicks in Lamb's direction, the cat flattening, but not retreating. The myna releases a piercing ah and lifts its black wings like a villain's cape. Lamb freezes in mid-stalk. The bird puffs up larger, hopping forward, shrieking ah, ah. Certain her cat, which once belonged to Felice, is about to be eviscerated, Avis bounds from her hiding place, fronds and leaves flying into the neighbor's yard, and scoops up the cabbie, simultaneously catching flashes of the flapping bird, the woman's hand fanned at her throat. Avis hurries back through the leaves, across the yard, through the French doors, and tosses the cat so it yowls mid-air and falls on the couch.
I just love that.
That's terrific.
Yowls midair.
Yes.
An action scene.
Very good action scene, yes indeed. Now I'm really interested in the way that you use place so beautifully. You evoke Miami Beach so beautifully and the kind of maybe less than glamorous aspects of it. Can you talk about why that interested you?
Well, we had moved to Miami a few years before I started writing Birds of Paradise, about 5 years before I'd started work on the book. And I was thinking a lot about our choice in relocating from Portland, Oregon to Miami, which is almost the antipodes, you might say, of that city. And so it was a real culture shock for both of us. And at the same time, we were thinking about starting a family. And I felt like I really wanted to commit to Miami. I wanted to fall in love with it, in a sense, to make it truly my home. And one of the best ways that I know to learn about anything is to write about it. I often choose things to write about that I want to learn about.
It becomes part of your story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know they say write what you know, and I kind of do the opposite. I write what I don't know, in a way.
Well, I wanted to ask you, I noticed on your website and kind of looking at the events that you've done, God, you've been all over the country in the last year on book tours and book events. Tell us a little bit about that really briefly. Was there one thing that stood out in your mind, good or bad, of that whole experience? I mean, you must be exhausted now, too, after all that.
I am. I'm totally exhausted. It was a big fall. It was the biggest book tour of my life. It was a blast, and it was hard work too. Mainly the downside of it is the actual travel. Getting on airplanes and slogging through security, and I probably got x-rayed about 83 times.
Well, just real quick, because we're going to have to wrap it up, can you tell us what's coming next? I know the paperback's coming out later this year. What are you working on anything now, or can you divulge to us? I know some people are superstitious. I am about talking about that, yes. but tell us anything you can.
Oh, I'm always happy to talk about my work. My next book is going to be a follow-up to The Language of Baklava. It's another food memoir, and it picks up where The Language of Baklava left off. I believe it's going to be called Grace at the Table because it will be talking about my grandmother and my daughter, who are both named Grace. So another food memoir.
Well, we'll look
Great.
forward to it. And thanks so much. We've had Diana Abu Jaber with us, a wonderful novelist and writer based in Portland and Coral Gables. I'm Mark Mustian here with Diane Roberts.
Thanks
for
a
being with
lot.
us on Furious Fiction.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.